So, the word of the day, the word of the day is overconfident. It's something that we, as Trump supporters, as American patriots, it's something that we must absolutely positively avoid. Yesterday I put out an article saying that "Too Big to Rig" is happening. Not an article. I'm sorry, it was a show. I did an entire show titled "Too Big to Rig." It's happening, and I was super excited, and I still am. I don't want to make it sound like I've changed my mind. But I did get a reminder multiple times, actually, over the rest of Thursday. I got multiple reminders that, by golly, we cannot get complacent. We cannot get overconfident. We cannot let our advantage, because currently we do have the advantage. Currently, Donald Trump is looking great. Okay, let's call it what it is. But with that said, we cannot get overconfident because we will lose. And there are still two major factors that we have to take into consideration. Number one, there's the big factor, of course, which is the almost certainty that they are going to attempt, and they're in the process of attempting, massive widespread voter fraud to the extent that we far beyond what we saw in 2020. We're way ahead. Okay, the polls show that we're ahead. We're way ahead, and they know it. Their internal polling must have them in absolute panic mode. And so they have to make a decision, and they're probably in the process of doing it right now. Do they push forward? Do they stick their necks out all the way and risk being exposed for the stealing of elections? Because if they do, then it could really have repercussions, not just on this election, but also on future elections. Are they going to do that, or are they going to say, you know what, let's abandon ship. Let's try to win down ballot races. Try to get control of the House. See if we can retain control of the Senate. And maybe do whatever they can. They might be in that desperation mode. That's a possibility. But number two, I mentioned the down ballot races. Listen, getting President Trump back into office is going to be absolutely wonderful. But there is a humongous difference between President Trump that has Republican control of the House and the Senate versus a President Trump that does not have control of both the House and the Senate. If Democrats are able to either take back the House or retain control of the Senate, or both, God forbid, then a Trump presidency will be greatly, greatly, greatly hampered. Not to mention, it's a certainty that they will impeach him within 3 to 5 months max. They'll find something. They'll make stuff up, just as they tend to do. So yeah, we cannot get overconfident. We're going to be talking about that. Of course, we'll talk about Mark Cuban and his idiocy. But first, I want to play this video. This struck me. I mean, it really struck me. I played it for my wife. She was shocked. We discussed it for quite a while, and it's one of those things where, I noticed a change in Tucker Carlson, but I didn't know the source of it. Now we do. Now we know what caused Tucker Carlson approximately a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, to really start to change, not just as a broadcaster, not just as a personality or a celebrity, but as a man. And it has been, in my humble opinion, an extraordinarily positive change. Watch this.
Do you think the presence of evil is kickstarting people to wonder about the good?
That's what happened to me.
That's what happened to you?
Oh yeah, I had a direct experience with it.
In the milieu of journalism, or just...
Nope, in my bed at night, and I got attacked while I was asleep with my wife and 4 dogs in the bed, and mauled. Physically mauled.
In a spiritual attack by a demon?
Yeah, by a demon. Or by something unseen that left...
Is that right?
Claw marks on my sides, on my...
So it left physical marks?
Oh, they're still there. Yeah. A year and a half ago.
Was your wife terrified? I know you were.
I wasn't. I was totally confused. I woke up and I couldn't breathe, and I thought I was going to suffocate, and I walked around outside, and then I walked in, and my wife and dogs had not woken up, and they're very light sleepers. And then I had these terrible pains on my rib cage and on my shoulder, and I was just in my boxer shorts, and I went and flipped on the light in the bathroom, and I had 4 claw marks on either side underneath my arms and on my left shoulder, and they're bleeding.
Wait, they were bleeding?
They're bleeding, yeah. No, actual claw marks. And I sleep on my side, so I wasn't clawing myself. I don't have long nails. And they didn't fit my hands anyway. But yeah, that happened. So I'm not from a world where things like that happen. I never heard of anything like that happening before. I had no idea what that was. I knew it was spiritual immediately.
You did? Okay, that was gonna be my question.
Yeah. I don't understand to this day. I'm not gonna put it
You
more.
you didn't try to refute the spiritual part in your own mind. You went right into the
Well, it
idea.
didn't make any sense, and it doesn't now. But I'm not from a, what do they call it, faith tradition that talks about things like that or even acknowledges their existence. Like, there's nothing like that. I've never heard anybody say anything like that in my whole life.
What was the next day like?
Well, the next morning I woke up and I thought that was the weirdest dream I've ever had. And then I saw blood on my sheets and I realized that was not a dream at all. I called my assistant, who was like the only evangelical Christian I know, well enough to call with something bizarre like that, totally bizarre like that. And she said, oh yeah, no, that happens. Yeah, people are attacked in their bed by demons. What? What are you even talking about? Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not leaving anything out, and I'm not pretending to understand that. I can only say what happened to me, and that did happen to me. And then I was seized with this very intense desire to read the Bible, which I then started without any study aids or anything. I bought a Bible that didn't have any. I'm not interested in editorializing in the Bible. I just want to read it and see what's in there myself. I have very low levels of trust for Christian pastors, most of whom, I'm just not a fan at all. And sorry to say that, but that's how I feel. And so I don't want to hear other people's opinions. I just want to see what's in there. And so I spent 1.5 years reading it, and then I started rereading it. And it was just a transformative experience for me, but I'm not, holding myself out as someone from whom you could get theological advice, because I'm
Sure,
not.
of course.
I mean, I don't know. I don't understand any of it. But yeah, that happened
God
to me.
allowed the demon?
I have no idea what happened. All I know is I was dead asleep with my wife and dogs, and I woke up with claw marks on my rib cage underneath my arms, and it didn't even make sense. My arms would, anyway, whatever. No one has to believe me. I don't care.
It doesn't matter.
But that happened to me, and so I just was like, wow, that's real. Whatever that is, I'm even not sure what it is.
It's
but
very real. And so then that presence of that evil
yeah.
launches something.
Wow. I mean, that is absolutely crazy. Not crazy as in I don't believe him. Crazy as in I'm impressed that he would acknowledge that. And he does seem to be the kind of person, when he says he doesn't care if anybody believes him, I truly believe he doesn't care if anybody believes him. But he's also smart enough to know that there are going to be people such as me who absolutely wholeheartedly believe him. I'm sure that happened exactly as he explained. And that it was something, I don't know about demonic. I don't know if what it is. My wife was telling me that she was just reading about how there is no physical form for demons. That they can possess you, but they can't actually touch you. Whereas others, such as the Raphaim, I think she said, they can physically touch you, and that's what some people say. For example, the alien abduction phenomenons and stuff like that. That's where physical manifestation of basically attacks on humans can be attributed to them. I don't know. I'll have to do a lot more research, and I can't wait. Gosh, Lord willing, I will be able to dive more into that kind of stuff, because that's what really interests me. Look, politics, I get it. It's important because, and for me at least, it's important because of my strong desire to protect my freedoms, especially my freedom of religion, right? That's the, if I were a single issue voter, which I'm not, but if I were a single issue voter, that would be the one issue for me, protecting freedom of religion above all else. That to me is what they're going after. They being the globalist elite cabal, the deep state, the uniparty swamp. They might not realize it, especially at the middle and lower levels. But at the upper levels, that's what they want. They want to prevent us from being able to practice our faith. They want to drain the the Christianity out of America, just as they've already been doing, but they want to do it faster than the remnant, so to speak, the ones that are still not bowing to all of the evils of the world, the ones that those stubborn people that are still practicing Christians, still reading their Bible, still praying. Those are the ones that they're coming after, and the only way they can actually achieve their goal is to force us to no longer practice our faith. But today we are talking about the election. I will get into, Lord willing, I'll be able to dive more into theology, Bible prophecy, all of that good stuff after the election. Until then, I am singularly focused. The only reason I even brought up the Tucker Carlson one is because it blew my mind. That was incredible. So back to politics, though. Colin Rugg over at Trending Politics, he posted a tweet with some pretty telling information. And this is one of the reasons why I think we are confident, and rightly so, but we shouldn't get overconfident. According to Mr. Rugg, the most accurate poll of 2020, Atlas Intel, releases their final battleground poll showing Trump winning all 7 battleground states. But he warns us, finish strong, vote, and make this a reality. And we do. We have to make it a reality because, again, one of the things that polls don't take into account, illegal alien voters. The other thing that polls don't take into account, massive widespread voter fraud. There are a lot of shenanigans that are already in process. So we will see, how big we can get this. Can we truly make it too big to rig? I know we can. The question is, will we? Will we be able to stop them from stealing another election? And that comes down to not just voting, not just getting your friends and relatives and coworkers and everybody else to vote. It's also about making sure that we are there watching the polls, watching the poll workers, letting them know, making them aware that if they engage in any election shenanigans, we're there to make sure that they get reported, fired, possibly even arrested, charged, and jailed. But hopefully it won't come to that. Hopefully, our lead is just so monumental, so incredible that the bad guys have given up and pushed. They're not going to play their hand because they know that their best hand is still beatable. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just saying that would be my hope. I think we might be close, but we'll see. Arizona has Trump up by 5, North Carolina +4, Nevada +4, Georgia +2, Pennsylvania +1, Michigan +1, and Wisconsin +1. Of course, wrong one. Of course, they say +1 in Pennsylvania, but there's another poll, according to Breitbart, showing that Trump is up by 5 in that crucial swing state. According to this article by Hannah Knudsen, former President Donald Trump is up in Pennsylvania by 5 percentage points, according to an Echelon Insights survey released just days ahead of the pivotal 2024 presidential election. The survey asked respondents whether or not yada, yada, yada. Up by 5, good stuff there. But let's back up a bit. So there are, at least the people are feeling that maybe this one is going Trump's way, because here's the thing. I've always said that even if Democrats win, even if Kamala wins, God forbid, that they're still going to be rioting. It's just not going to be as much. But apparently, at least in D.C., they're thinking that there's a good chance that Trump could win because they're preparing for it. According to Louis Cornelio over at Headline USA, our D.C. business is boarding up for protests after Kamala's loss. And the answer to that is yes, that's what they're thinking. Businesses in Washington, D.C. are preparing for potential violent riots ahead of the November 5th presidential election and, of course, after the election, if Trump wins, as shown in video and photos shared by photojournalist Andrew Leiden. Work crews have begun covering up the windows of buildings and stores near the White House as the election comes down to the final week. Among the businesses boarded up are McDonald's and Frame Mender, located in the 750 block of 17th Street Northwest. I've actually been there, now that I think about it. Not to Frame Mender, I don't know what that is, but I think I've been to that McDonald's. A professional building at 1750 Pennsylvania Avenue, just a block from the White House, is also boarded up, and we're not going to play that video. But yeah, the confidence is there. We're starting to feel it. People are starting to feel that this election, maybe not in the bag per se, but things are looking really, really good. But the Trump campaign itself is warning us. They're warning us not to get complacent. A memo put out by the Trump campaign says it was on the state of the race. They issued a memo Thursday afternoon about the state of the presidential race titled President Trump is on the verge, citing the Real Clear Politics average on this by over at townhall.com by Katie Pavlich, showing former President Trump leading Vice President Kamala Harris in the place it matters most and in a better position compared to the 2020 race. The campaign is confident, but notes there is still work to do. And there's a quote from the memo by Trump pollster Tony Fabrizio. President Trump's position nationally and in every single battleground state is significantly better today than it was 4 years ago. In fact, President Trump holds the lead in 5 of the 7 battleground states that account for for over 270 electoral votes. I point this out not to stoke overconfidence or complacency, but to illustrate just how close this election is and that victory is within our reach. But the fact remains that we still have a great deal of work to do. While the analysis of early and absentee vote returns in each state are promising, we know that the bulk of President Trump voters will vote on Election Day. So, our continued efforts to turn out our voters are crucial. The campaign stressed their closing argument against Harris is landing with voters and that they plan to remain focused. Again, this is from Fabrizio. As Harris and her campaign struggle to find a closing argument that addresses voters' worries about inflation, their jobs, taxes, illegal immigration, crime, and an unstable world, our closing argument, of course, is Kamala broke it, President Trump will fix it. That puts Harris's failures on each of those issues in stark contrast to President Trump's successes, and voters are responding positively. Over the next 5 days, there will be a continual barrage of public polling and analysis, some positive and some negative. It is crucial we do not get distracted by the media noise and remain focused on our closing message, persuading the few remaining undecided voters and turning out our base. And that's an important note there. There aren't a whole lot of undecided voters left. And many of them are going to vote on Election Day. Maybe they're seeing what's happening. At this point, it's not so much about convincing people that Trump is better than Kamala, because again, at this stage, they've been hit by so many messages from both sides of the fence that most people have decided which way they would go if they vote. Our job is to make sure that they do vote if they are voting for Trump, of course, because there's going to be a lot of people that, number one, they get complacent, they get lazy, they just decide, you know what, maybe they plan on voting, maybe they say they're going to vote, but then Election Day comes around, and maybe they read an article that says, oh, Trump's got it in the bag, or, oh, Trump can't win in New Hampshire, or whatever. Something's going to compel them to maybe not waste their time, not stand in line, not wait in line to cast their vote, not have to deal with the risks, the threats, all this talk about chaos on Election Day, leading up to Election Day, on Election Day, after Election Day. That's going to scare some people. Some people are just not going to vote, not because they don't want to, but because maybe they missed the opportunity to mail in their ballot, or they couldn't wait in line, or for whatever reason. But the biggest one is they're scared. They're scared that if they go out and they vote, maybe they're going to get assaulted. Maybe there's going to be a terrorist attack. Maybe there's going to be something crazy that happens, and that can compel people to not vote. We need to be brave and stalwart. We need to make sure that the people around us know. And if they're uncomfortable, go with them. Okay? I mean, if that's what it takes. If you've already voted, great. Is there anybody that you can give them a ride? Maybe ride along with them. Make sure that they're not just standing there alone. Make sure that they don't chicken out. Make sure they don't get lazy, complacent. Maybe they don't think their vote counts. I don't know. But we still have this opportunity right now, today, between now and Election Day, and then on Election Day specifically, to be able to impact the vote, even if it's 1, 2, 5, 10 ballots at a time. We just have to do it the right way, do it the legal way, and make sure that we are winning this the right way. We will win one way or the other. We're going to win. The question is, are we winning today, now, with this election? Or are we going to have to win in the form of a revolutionary war? Or are we going to have to wait until God calls us back up to heaven and then we win forever? Either way, we're going to win. I'm not concerned about it, but I do want to make sure that we get as many of these early victories as possible. Of course, the big news on Thursday. And I didn't think it would be that big of news until I saw the response. And then I was talking to my wife about it. So funny story. So the Mark Cuban thing came out, right? Mark Cuban said idiot thing. Here, let's play what Mark Cuban said, actually.
Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women, ever. It's just that simple.
So it wasn't much. He came out and he's like, oh, what I was actually saying was that he doesn't like, pro-life women like, oh, excuse me. I think I'm allergic to Mark Cuban. Not pro-life women. He doesn't like reproductive rights like women. He doesn't like strong women. He won't go on stage with Nikki Haley. But that's not what he said. Okay? That's not what he said. He said specifically that Trump doesn't like to be around or surround himself by or be in close proximity to strong and intelligent women. That's what he said. And he can try to walk it back all he wants and all this other stuff, but we know what he said, and so do a lot of women across the Twitter sphere, the X sphere, whatever you want to call it now. They, my intention, by the way, when this came out, I started thinking, okay, there's probably going to be some good reactions. So I started looking through X, and I started seeing some good reactions, and I thought, you know what, that's what I'll play. I'll play these reactions during my show tonight, the live show, and there were so many. Yeah, I've been on X since 2009, back when it was still Twitter. And in all of my years, I've never seen such a tremendous response. And I'm not talking about, let's retweet this, let's post a little blurb about that. No. The sheer number of women who grabbed their cameras, grabbed their phones, grabbed whatever, and sent direct messages, put out messages that were directed at Mark Cuban, about Mark Cuban, talking about what they were doing. And a lot of these were actually pretty well produced. I mean, on the spot, well produced, but still well produced. I mean, Kellyanne Conway goes out to the ellipse and she's like, you see where I am? This is where I am. This is where, blah, 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 blah. Mark Cuban, this. And it was insane. I was going to put together at first it was like, okay, so I'll play, 5, 6, 7 of them during my show. And there's like tons of them. So it's like, okay, well, I'll just do a wrap-up article or whatever. I'll just get the best ones. And I got to like 17. And there was still, I had to cut it off at that point because it was just, the article was just getting so long. So many women replied. And I'm like, I've never seen anything like this. Not on X. Not this passionate of a response. And I told my wife what he said. And she got physically upset. She's like, I can't. She got really legitimately mad about this. And I don't blame her. Okay. But it goes to show that you just don't do that. You don't insult people in general, but you definitely don't insult women. Okay. Mansplaining, there's a reason why there's an actual word for it. Okay. Mark Cuban is the one that needs to be mansplained too. This is how you don't try to help out as a surrogate for the Kamala Harris campaign. This isn't the best way to do it. I would argue that he actually did more damage to the campaign than Joe Biden did with his garbage comment. Seriously. That's how bad it was. And the comment was short, but here's the irony, the sad part about it all is that he says this on The View. Now, how many even possible Trump supporters are watching The View? I don't think very many. So he gave ammunition, tons of ammunition, to Trump supporters, particularly Trump supporting women, tons of ammunition for the sake of being able to convince literally, his statement did not convert anybody over to Team Kamala. He might have had some of the viewers there, nodding along, okay, yeah, sure, Mark, but they were already on Team Kamala. Even the hostesses of The View, themselves, they were like kind of. I think what Mark was meaning to say was that Trump doesn't like to have women on stage with him or something. I don't know. I mean, it was bad. It was really, really bad. I almost feel bad for Mark Cuban himself because he looked like such a moron, both during and after the fact. He started trying to promote his pharmaceutical label and stuff like that. He's anything about talking about this. He put out one little quick statement to clarify, and that was it. Trump actually had a response. I think I have it. I'll see if I have it. I might have it up here. If I don't, it was funny, and it was old school Trump. It really is old school Trump. I'll see if I can find it, especially if we take a break. But Kaylee McGee White, who I think she's an editor at Washington Examiner, if I recall. I don't know much about her. Actually, I'd never seen her before, but she did get interviewed about it, and her statement about it was spot on.
You watch that clip and you see how easily that just rolled off the tongue, like it was an instinct. And then you watch the Joe Biden clip and you see how easily that came out as well. I'm starting to pick up on a pattern here, that when they're backed into a corner, they lash out, and the first thing that comes out of their lips is an insult to the people who they think they can't control. As a young woman, this was extremely offensive. And, I'll just say this. America, you have 5 days left to remind people like Mark Cuban and Joe Biden that they do not get to denigrate you without consequence. It's completely unacceptable.
Yeah, that's about it. He's such an idiot. I mean, I don't know if everybody remembers this, but Mark Cuban was actually a Trump supporter in the early days. He actually liked Donald Trump, and Trump even put out in his message, he's like, yeah, Cuban used to call me all the time when I was in the White House, and I have to be like, Mark, look, I'm kind of busy here, man. I'm sort of running the country. Can we talk some other time? And now, of course, he's trying to become the chair of the SEC, and it's the guy's just he's a weird guy. Okay, just right off the bat, let's just establish he's strange. Like he's legitimately like not a very good, decent guy. But people have put him up on this pedestal. Fans, not fans, doesn't matter. They put him up on this pedestal as this like brilliant, self-made billionaire, and he is, to be clear. But I don't know if people realize that he became a billionaire as a result of somebody else's idiocy. So he had a software company, and he did very well with it. Made like $5 or $6 million. But then he got into this other company that, and I don't remember the name of the other company, but it ended up turning into broadcast.com. Okay. And he had invested like $10,000 for like 2% of the company. Then over time, he started taking over more of the company, and he ended up taking over most of it, him and his partner. And they were able to build up. They were trying to do internet radio, and this is back in like the mid '90s. Trying to do internet radio, and the idea there was that hey, you could go online and you could listen to like sports events or whatever, even if you weren't in the city. Like he wanted to pick up, for example, he went to Indiana University. He wanted to pick up Indiana basketball games, stuff like that, right? So he thought, well, we could use this, and that way at broadcast.com, you could go there and you could pay a membership fee, and then you can get feeds from a whole bunch of different places. And they end up getting like, I think it was, if I recall, let's see, it would have to have been, I think 500,000 users. Maybe it was either 570,000 or 57,000. I don't remember the exact number. It's one or the other, because he ended up taking the idea and took it to Yahoo back when Yahoo was still a big thing. This was before the bubble burst, right? Still back in the 90s. And he went to Yahoo and he's like, okay, so we'll sell to you. And they ended up paying like $10,000 per user. It was like $5.7 billion that they paid for this company at the time. It was like a huge record, most ever spent. They ended up buying that, and that's where he made his money. Okay? That's how he made his big bucks. That's how he became a billionaire, was off of Yahoo's idiocy. They had too much money, not enough experience, not enough brains, and they ended up buying broadcast.com for like $5.7 billion, and they ended up shuttering it like 2 or 3 years later. I mean, it was just a total bust, arguably the biggest bust in internet history. Relative, of course, to inflation, all that other stuff, but still, it was huge. I mean, they threw away billions of dollars back in the 90s, and Mark Cuban was the beneficiary of that. That was, now again, I don't want to downplay. Okay, I mean, hey, kudos to him for doing that, but it's not like he had to like, he wasn't like strategizing and coming up with all these amazing innovations. No, he had one good idea. It wasn't a great idea. It was a good idea. Good idea at the time, and he found a sucker, and he sold it for literally probably 1,000 times more than it was worth. Okay, so let's not put him up on a pedestal and this guy's just a business genius. No, he found a sucker. Period. I mean, that's all there is to it. So back to enough of Cuban talk. I'm already sick of him, and we haven't even really talked about him that much. Let's get back to Kamala. Apparently, this is according to Gateway pundit Michael Chance over there. Panic. Democrats already starting to point fingers and assign blame for potential Kamala Harris loss. If Kamala Harris loses the 2024 election to Donald Trump, the meltdown on the left will be epic, and we already know this. I've already planned, if Trump wins, I've already planned on basically a show that's dedicated to, as a guide to how to handle the unhinged leftists that are going to be just going crazy. I mean, it's going to be so bad for them. It's going to be horrible for them. They're not going to know what to do. We've seen those memes from 2016 with all those people crying and screaming and all this stuff. Just take that tenfold, because after Trump wins this election, they're going to go bonkers. Okay, it is going to be chaos, and we have to be ready for that. So, but let's win the election first, then we'll handle that afterwards. Anyway, back to the article. Democrats from all corners of the country will be attacking each other over the way her campaign was run, the choice of Kamala as the candidate, the way she was chosen, the messaging, and on and on and on. Apparently, some of them are not even waiting for Election Day and are already assigning blame. This is just a preview of what is to come if Trump wins. The Hill reports Vice President Kamala Harris could win the presidential election next week, but fingers in the Democrat circles are already being pointed behind the scenes in the event that she fails, if she loses. While some Democrats say that they are increasingly hopeful that Harris will win, others have expressed mounting frustration about a string of factors that have plagued the campaign from the outset. People are nervous, and they're trying to cover their ass and get a little ahead of Election Day. It's based on anxiety, stakes, and the unique nature of this cycle. We don't have a traditional process for this election. We didn't have a primary. People just had to fall in line, the strategist added. It's not surprising to me that some of the blame game is happening even before Election Day. If Harris loses, there will be a mad dash to assign blame. And it's already happening. I shouldn't say if she loses. There already is a mad dash to assign blame. And let's break down the blame itself. And you can trace this all the way back to Barack Obama. So let's do a little recent history lesson when it comes to the Democrats. So they had Barack Obama, right? Barack Obama, I dislike him, obviously. I would argue that he's as close to somebody that I hate as a politician or anybody that doesn't do me personal harm. I don't hate people just because I disagree with them. But Barack Obama, he has done enough harm to this country that it's like, he's close to earning my hatred. But he's not there yet. But either way, I obviously don't like him, but I do respect him. The dude was smart. He still is smart. And he did a good job as far as being a Democrat candidate and planting the seeds for the Democrats and, more importantly, for the globalists upon which they could build what they are in the process of building now. I disagree with everything that he did, but it was what he did, he did what he was supposed to do. He was very competent, is the point I'm trying to make. He wanted to plant the seeds for the destruction of the United States of America, and he sure got those seeds planted through cultural Marxism, through establishing the protocols for coordination between the Democrat Party, the Uniparty swamp, and the deep state. He did a lot of awful things that very few people even know about. Okay, and he picked, it's noteworthy that early on, he picked Joe Biden not because Joe Biden was the best candidate or even the best campaigner or the best anything. Okay, Joe Biden was an idiot. Still is, but even back then, before the dementia, he was already an idiot. Now, keep that in mind. Barack Obama picked an idiot. Fast forward to Hillary Clinton. She ended up picking an idiot as her running mate as well. That's weird because she too is smart. But then fast forward to Joe Biden. Now Joe Biden's already an idiot. He's not Hillary Clinton. He's not Barack Obama. So who does he pick as his vice president? He had the choice. He had Karen Bass. He had a lot of pretty decent options. Now he limited his options, of course, for the sake of DEI. He limited his options to a woman of color, so he could only pick from 9% of the population or whatever. But that's what he chose, and he picked Kamala specifically. Why Kamala? Because of all the possible choices that he had, she was the biggest idiot. Now, fast forward to 2024. Kamala gets installed thanks to Joe Biden. Okay, Joe Biden, I think unexpectedly, they weren't planning on him doing it, but he says, okay, if you guys are forcing me out, I guess I'm out. So he posts his tweet, yeah, I'm out, and I'm endorsing Kamala Harris. They're like, whoa, wait a second, we didn't tell you to do that. He's like, sorry, it's already done. It's already out there. You guys want to go against me? We can divide the party up, or you can just go in line and go with my pick of Kamala. So then she gets installed as the nominee, and who does she pick for her vice president? Tampon Tim Walz. Are you seeing the progression here? It went from a smart dude with Obama. He picks an idiot, who picks an idiot, who picks an idiot. They seem to have this thing about making sure that whoever's at the top of the ticket is smarter and a better candidate than the bottom of the ticket. That's why we have Tampon Tim Walz as the vice presidential nominee for Kamala Harris. Very funny stuff there, but that's how they operate. That's been how they've operated for decades. And you look at Trump. I mean, Trump. Okay, fine. So Mike Pence was horrible, but J.D. Vance is not an idiot. J.D. You have to be truly confident in yourself to pick a guy like J.D. Vance as your running mate, because J.D. Vance would overshadow many of the possible Republican candidates. Okay, I mean he is superior to just about anybody who tried to run against Trump in 2024. Any of the primary opponents, none of them would have picked J.D. Vance, I don't think, because he would have been smarter and better than them. Okay, Trump, on the other hand, he has supreme confidence in himself and in his reputation, his abilities, his intellect. So yeah, he'll pick the best person out there, and he picked J.D. Vance. And so you wouldn't see Kamala Harris picking somebody who might be deemed better than her. She was never going to pick Gavin Newsom or Gretchen Whitmer or anybody like that, and probably not even Josh Shapiro. I doubt that he was actually truly under consideration, because he is intellectually and just charismatically superior to Kamala Harris. She had to pick somebody below her, and that's how they had to go to the bottom of the barrel and get Tampon Tim in there. Point being is that, yeah, they're already in the process of pointing fingers. It is looking bad for them. And that's a good sign for us. I'm happy about that. Wow, I went too long. Let's take a short break, and then when we get back, talk more politics. I can't wait. Gosh, I hope he wins. If Trump wins, then I can switch a lot of my focus to more important issues of the spiritual nature. So stay tuned. For at least the last, 2 years. Let's see, it might have been as early as 2021, but at the very least in 2022, we started talking about and noticing and talking about all of the crazy things that were happening with this food supply. I'd be like, hey, did you notice there's been like a sharp increase in food production plants that are just sort of burning up, it's getting sabotaged, blowing up in some cases. And what about all the chickens that are getting culled? And what about all the cows that are mysteriously dying? It's like somebody's attacking your food. I mean, that seems to be the case, and it has continued to be the case for a long time. This is one of the reasons that the food prices have gone up so much higher, so much faster than other things. Yes, we're experiencing mega inflation, but food is getting it hit hard. Yeah, this is one of the reasons that we even launched my company in the first place, and we're very happy to have done that. But everything happened, like everything, you can only fight off the inevitable for so long, and so we are in the very, very near future, not sure what day or anything like that, but very soon we are going to have to raise our prices. And so as a result of this, and I actually have a meeting, I'm not going to say when, but I have a meeting to discuss all of this and how much we're going to raise prices and all that stuff. But in the meantime, as owner of the company, I can still offer what I believe to be a good, awesome deal. So go to worldviewbeef.com, and once you're there, just use promo code JDR. Use promo code JDR to get the maximum discount. As of right now, as I'm recording to this episode, we are at 30%, and we're doing that ahead of the anticipated price hike. So do yourself a favor, do your family a favor, do everybody a favor, and go there now and use promo code JDR. It's amazing doing this show as late as it is and still seeing a good chunk of people out there. I know that there's anxiety. I know that a lot of people are stressed. I'm doing the show late because we were working on thelibertydaily.com and just kept going. I mean, been laying it out. And all these articles, by the way, that I'm talking about today, you will be able to find if you're watching it live. You won't find it there yet, but you will be able to find it after the show. I'll get all these posted over there at thelibertydaily.com as well as americafirstreport.com. But there will also be, if you're watching the replay, it'll already be there. So be ready for that. There's an article by Logan Washburn over at The Federalist. Leftist groups lay groundwork to call a Trump victory illegitimate, smearing his supporters as violent. Now, it's funny because you see so much violence. There is a lot of violence, political violence today, but it seems to be like 95% of it's coming from the left. Odd, huh? That's not the narrative we're being told. Powerful leftists dismissed in advance Trump's potential claims to victory, casting his supporters and election integrity advocates as extremists. They're trying to prepare us. They're going to fight this, even if we win. Be ready for that. And remember the name, Mark Elias, the lawfare expert for Obama, for Hillary Clinton, for Joe Biden, and now for Kamala Harris. But we'll talk about him some other day. Hopefully we won't have to. Hopefully he'll just disappear. Leaders of leftist influence groups sought to preemptively discredit potential claims of victory by former President Donald Trump and portray his supporters as violent in an apparent effort to pave the way for Kamala Harris to claim victory. There is a lot of investment by allies of President Trump to suggest that his victory is inevitable, said David Becker, founder of the Center for Election Innovation and Research, which funneled millions in Zuckerbucks to election officials in 2020. Quote, if he loses the election or perceives that he's losing, you can imagine the shock that is going to be felt by his supporters and how that's going to be leveraged by grifters to try to anger them, to try to incite them to violence. It's BS. It's a lie. And they know it's a lie, but nevertheless, they're people, the people that they're talking to, the Democrats, the sheep, they don't realize it's a lie, and so they're like, oh yeah, they're gonna get violent when they lose. Kamala. Anyway, the webinar, which happened Wednesday, was appropriately called Red, White, and Coup. That's good. That's pretty good. It featured Becker, Nora Benavidez, senior counsel for the Free Press, which supports censorship and was founded by a socialist, Heidi Barrick, co-founder of the Global Project Against Hate and Extremism, which, of course, they smear conservative groups, and Damon Hewitt, president of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, which wages lawfare against conservatives. It's funny how they name themselves the exact opposite of what they actually are. I mean, literally the exact opposite of what they actually are. I mean, this guy's this lady Nora Benavides. She's a senior counsel for Free Press. They're called Free Press, and they advocate for censorship in an organization called Free Press. That's how they think. That's why the Inflation Reduction Act has dramatically increased inflation, because that's how they operate. Back to the article. Panelists cast a potential Trump victory or claim to victory as illegitimate and suggested his supporters and those with election integrity concerns are extremists. That's me. I have election integrity concerns. I have had election integrity concerns for 4 years now, and I will continue to have election integrity concerns until we increase election integrity, because there is no reason for us to possibly believe that we have free and fair elections, because we do not. But that's why we shoot for too big to rig. In what appeared to be an attempt to predetermine the narrative and set the stage for Harris to claim victory and suppress dissent. Discrediting a Trump, I'm not even going to read this. This is just going to piss me off too much. We know that they're going to paint us as the bad guys. If Trump were to, quote unquote, lose, there's only two possibilities here. Let's be clear. Either Trump wins, and most likely wins in a landslide, on or shortly after election night, or if it's close enough, if they're able to muster enough voter fraud that they can keep the race close and bring it down to the last three states, which happen to be the ones that count their votes last, happen to be battleground states. Go figure. Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Georgia. That's where they're going to try to manufacture a false victory. If it's close. This is why I keep saying we have to keep it from being close. Look, I don't care where you are. I don't care if you are in the reddest state, the bluest state, any state. If you are in one of the 50 states, then vote. Do not believe that your vote doesn't count. Your vote does count. I can honestly, and this isn't hopium, this isn't false. I can truly see that if they do minimize, if they think that they're going to lose no matter what, so they minimize voter fraud, I can see Donald Trump winning most of the blue states. Seriously. I truly think that he can. They're already talking about how close it is in Colorado, in New Hampshire. I mean, there were polls in New Jersey that were showing him within striking distance. He did a rally in New York, Madison Square Garden of all places. It wasn't just because of the venue. It was because he thinks he's got a chance in New York. And I look around here in California, and I don't see a whole lot of Kamala Harris signs out on front yards. And when I say I don't see a lot of, I don't recall ever seeing one. I mean, that's not a joke. That's not like I don't get out much. But when I do get out, I don't see a single one. You see Trump signs everywhere, but you don't see any Harris wall signs anywhere. It's insane. It is insane. It's not just about Trump. He's got such good people around him right now. So much better than 2016 and 2020. And I'm not just talking about in the campaign. I'm talking about the people that are probably going to be part of his administration, including RFK Jr., who is essentially declared. I mean, he's been promised he is in. If Trump wins, RFK Jr. is in the administration, period. Unless Trump's a liar, or unless RFK Jr. is gullible and stupid. I don't think either of those are true. But otherwise, he's in the administration. He's going to truly try to make America healthy again. And he actually invoked his own faith when referring to that at a recent discussion. Watch.
And my prayer is this. I ask God for 19 years to put me in a position where I could end the chronic disease epidemic and bring health back to our children. And in August, God sent me Donald Trump.
called it a recent discussion. That was actually, I forgot. That was actually the the end of the Tucker Carlson national tour. Of course, he ended it with Donald Trump as his guest, and a lot of other people, including RFK Jr. He also had Nicole Shanahan there. She did something that was pretty cool. I wouldn't say it was like astounding, but it's worth noting because she got pretty emotional about it. And I don't know if she just gets nervous speaking to a bunch of people or if she was truly feeling this massive energy in this jam-packed venue, by the way, in Arizona, swing state, jam-packed venue. President Trump's there speaking, talking to Tucker Carlson. Nicole Shanahan gets up and she casts her vote, and it was amazing.
Despite the novelty of seeing my name on here next to a bubble, I will be a first-time Trump voter tonight. I really mean it when I say that I am apologizing for all of the people on the left who don't understand their bad behavior. I am so sorry. We will unite this country under an umbrella of love and mutual understanding, of dignity and grace. Yeah. Yes. I'm gonna just close. I don't have anything better to say, but go out there and vote for this wonderful man, Donald J. Trump. Because he is someone who knows what it is to give it all up for this country. So, thank you.
Pardon me. I remember when RFK Jr. announced her as his running mate for the presidency. It was a lot of people thought it was a mistake because she's a radical leftist. Okay, I mean she's not a conservative. She's a Democrat, a hardcore Democrat, always has been, and she has a whole lot of leftist views still. But to hear her talk about this wonderful man, Trump, that should tell you something. It tells us that beyond just policy and ideology, that Donald Trump's appeal as a human can be felt by those even on the left. Now, of course, we have to fight against corporate media, which has done a bang-up job of painting him in the worst possible light. I mean, it's truly evil people in corporate media doing the job for evil people. I mean, corporate media is narrative-driven and agenda-driven. That's it. Whatever the narrative du jour is, whatever they're told to say, that's what they say. And it's disgusting, but on the other hand, it's also exciting because it means that people like Joe Rogan, people like Tucker Carlson, Glenn Beck, Megyn Kelly, people that came from corporate media and are now independent. That's the future. Okay, that is the future, the very near future, I hope, of media. Corporate media has failed. They've shown their true colors, and it's an ugly shade of the whatever color you hate the most. That's the color of corporate media today. They are just awful. But they've done a good job, unfortunately. They have a lot of people, millions, tens of millions of Americans have been brainwashed, indoctrinated into this idea that Donald Trump is the evil one, that Donald Trump is the enemy, that Trump supporters are garbage, that anybody who supports them, especially women, anybody who supports him must be weak and unintelligent. This narrative that they've created around Donald Trump, this persona, is not real. It's not even close to representing who he really is. And you know that. If you're watching this show, chances are you're very well aware of that. But so many people are not. And sometimes we might think, you know what, it's impossible to break through. They cannot be made to see. But then I talk to people like Brandon Strzok from the Walkaway Movement. I see people like Nicole Shanahan and RFK Jr. It is possible to reach these people and to let them know, to make them understand that Donald Trump isn't a bad guy. He isn't a racist. He isn't a fascist. He isn't Hitler. He truly, legitimately wants to make America great again. And I think a lot of times people will look at him and they'll assume that his reasoning for it is personal, that he's just trying to build his own legend. He's trying to make sure that history books look at him positively. I don't disagree with that. But here's the thing. When you have a man such as Donald Trump, who has a goal of being viewed as the greatest president of all time, and that is his goal, to be clear, we know that he's going to do whatever it takes to achieve that goal, and we know that to achieve that goal means that he truly has to make America great again. So what's wrong with that? Okay? What's wrong with somebody who has that much confidence, that much ego? What's wrong with giving them another opportunity to continue what he was doing before, but hopefully much better at it? And I truly believe that a second Trump term will be far better than the first one, because he's learned his lesson when it comes to putting in the right people. He knows, and he has acknowledged that he put in the wrong people in his first term. He said it before. He's like, I've been to the White House many times, but I never actually stayed there, and I wasn't really a DC guy. I was a New York guy, and so I got a lot of people to help me and to try to pick people out, and they picked the wrong people. And he acknowledges that he messed up his first term. As amazing as things were during Trump's term versus the Biden-Harris regime's 4 years of hell, as amazing as his years were, they can be much better. He can be much better. His administration can be much better. And now he's already talking to people like RFK Jr., like Elon Musk, like Tulsi Gabbard. These are people that were on the left, okay? And yet they've come around to be able to help him achieve certain goals. Look, I disagree with Bobby Kennedy on probably 8 out of 10 issues. But his desire to make America healthy again, his desire to make our kids not fat, to make us not fat, to make us healthy and thriving and eating good foods and not being addicted to all of these chemicals and drugs and everything like that, I wholeheartedly support that concept. And I think that he's the right guy for the job. Elon Musk, I disagree. I mean, I think Elon Musk is a globalist. I think that Elon Musk, he says, oh, don't trust AI, but let me buy an AI company. Oh, hey, we're going to put Neuralink in people's brains, and then we're going to put satellites in there that can connect to Neuralink. And I mean, there's all sorts of things to be skeptical about when it comes to Elon Musk. But if there's one thing he's really good at, it is in making things more efficient. This is why he's the richest man in the world. It's not because he got lucky. He's not a Mark Cuban. He didn't find a sucker. He just happened to build a whole bunch of super successful businesses, and he made them run efficiently. Efficiently. That's what he's going to do in D.C. In the Trump administration, his Department of Government Efficiency, I believe, is going to be a game changer. He says he can cut $2 trillion. $2 trillion from our budget. Please. Cut more. Do it. I am very excited about the potential of Trump's second term. And I hope that you're not only excited about it along with me, but that you will do whatever it takes to make sure that he does get that opportunity, that he is allowed to make things too big to rig, that we can overcome whatever shenanigans the Democrats, the uniparty swamp, the deep state, and the globalist elite cabal put before us. There's only a few days left, folks. A few days left and a lot of work to do. It's not just about voting. Many of you, most of you probably, have already voted. It's about making sure that other people vote, that nobody is complacent, that nobody takes it for granted, that nobody thinks their vote doesn't count. Because we still have to get the down ballot races. We still have to focus on the local races. I cannot ever stress enough. I can repeat this every show, and it won't be enough for me to say that. We, as Americans, especially as patriots, as America First conservatives, populists, libertarians, whatever you want to call yourself, that we have to put more emphasis on local elections. So it doesn't matter if you think Trump is going to win or if you think Trump's going to lose or if you don't care if Trump wins or loses. What matters is that you get out there and vote. And I do strongly recommend that you vote for Donald Trump and that you help others to vote and that you go and watch the polls if you can. I cannot stress that one enough either. Thankfully, I'm only going to have to stress that for the next few days. But yeah, that's something that absolutely needs to be done. I've got one more video before I'm going to do one more break, and then we'll play the last video, and I've got a couple more stories to go through. So stay tuned.
I'm Jonathan Rose, CEO of Genesis Gold Group. As Americans, we work hard every day to provide for our families and ensure their future. But with the uncertainty facing our economy, it is more important than ever to safeguard your wealth and protect your retirement savings. Educated investors look to safe haven assets to shield themselves from the economic storm. Tangible assets like gold and silver can provide stability, security, and most importantly, peace of mind. In 1997, the Taxpayer Relief Act allowed Americans to hold physical precious metals like gold and silver in their IRAs for the first time. Today, Genesis Gold Group helps our clients transfer existing IRAs, 401ks, and other retirement accounts into physical gold and silver, tax and penalty free. With thousands of satisfied clients, 5-star reviews, and fully accredited with the Better Business Bureau, our experienced team is here to help you navigate the process. Start to finish, now is the time to educate yourself on the importance of a diversified portfolio, including tangible assets like gold and silver. Call now to receive our free wealth protection kit and digital dollar defense guide. Call now and we'll include our extremely popular silver prepper bar free when you open your account. Add it to your IRA or have it sent to your home. Call Genesis Gold Group today at 800-200-GOLD. Prepper bar only available through Genesis Gold Group.
I'm actually not going to go through because I just realized I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 more stories. So I'm going to buzz through them really fast instead of trying to hammer them home. All of them are important, but I'm exhausted. I'll just tell you up front. I am super tired. It's after midnight here on the West Coast. If you're watching on the East Coast, God bless you. Maybe you're just waking up at 3:32 in the morning, but apologies for cutting the show short today. We will be back on the air tomorrow around noonish. We still haven't nailed down the times, by the way. Yeah, I still obviously I do the show late at night, sometimes earlier than tonight's show. But the daytime show, we're still trying to get a very solid set time, and it really depends upon. I have to watch what's happening on Rumble of all places because I don't want to compete against these huge shows and get drowned out and lose viewers. So we're trying to nail down the best time for that. But let's get into these last 9 articles real fast. We're buzzing through. It's the lightning round. This comes from the National Pulse. Jack Montgomery says Texas Attorney General opens criminal investigation into Dominion voting systems. Gosh, I hope that they find something. Sheriff's Office in Berry County, Michigan says it has been referring suspected electoral crimes to Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, and the American First law officer has opened a criminal investigation into Dominion voting systems. The Berry County Sheriff's Office has an ongoing investigation into election-related crimes since December of 2020. Amazing. A statement from Sheriff Dar Leaf explains, confirming the Michigan Law Office has made referrals for criminal ingestion to the Texas, I think that's probably criminal investigation, but whatever, to the Texas Attorney General's office. It added that the Texas Attorney General has opened a criminal investigation related to Dominion voting systems, election systems and software, that's ES&S, Hart InterCivic, and Solar Winds, including specific subcontractors, agents, and employees. Sheriff Lahr pledged to continue assisting Paxton. as the investigation unfolds. Dominion voting machines are already stirring controversy in the 2024 election amid ongoing early voting. Michigan Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson has confirmed that some terminals are experiencing issues nationwide with split ticket ballots. Crazy stuff there. And yes, Dominion is obviously on my list as one of the very highly potential bad guys in all of this. Hot air, John Sexton says, inflation, not greedflation, is still in voters' minds. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have tried to claim inflation was down, and technically that's true, but what the figures show is that the rate of increase is down. The rate of increase. It's still rising, folks. It's just not rising as fast as the earlier days of the Biden-Harris regime. That's good and better than the alternative, but it doesn't actually fix the underlying problem of rising costs, which are felt by nearly everyone when they go to the grocery store, amongst other places. Unfortunately for Kamala Harris, the inflation problem persists in the minds of many voters, as it should. Sarah Arnold over at Town Hall says, J.D. Vance compares the way Kamala lies to how his toddler lies about stealing cookies, and it's brilliant. Let's see what he says here. Vice President Kamala Harris has no problem lying to the American people. In fact, she does it so often now that it makes it difficult to decipher what is true and what isn't, as well as what exactly her policies stand for. Does she even have policies? And if she does she know what they are? I don't think so. Republican Vice Presidential candidate Senator J.D. Vance perfectly summed up Harris's constant lying, comparing her to his 4-year-old son. During a nearly 4-hour interview with Joe Rogan on the Joe Rogan Experience, Vance likened Harris's lying to his toddler, who recently lied about stealing an Oreo cookie. Vance, who revealed that he likes to bake, that's new, I didn't know that, was making an Oreo cake with his son. The senator explained that he left the room for a few minutes, leaving his toddler alone in the kitchen with the cookies. When he came back, Vance noticed that a few of the Oreos were missing, and when he asked his son if he had eaten the cookies, the boy said, I didn't eat the Oreos, you did. That's the way that Kamala Harris lies, Vance told Rogan. Not only does she actively brag, and her administration brag about trying to arrest her political opponents, she'll go out and say that if Donald Trump is the president, that he's going to arrest his political opponents, even though he already was president, and he didn't do that. This story, I'm going to save this for tomorrow. This one from Revolver News. Let's just skip that one for now. Voting absentee, this is just a quick note from Jonathan Howenschild over at the Daily Signal. Voting absentee, return your ballot in person, don't mail it. And I cannot, wow, that is the best advice that I have not given myself. I keep forgetting to. I think about it during the day. It's like, oh, I got to remember to tell people, don't mail in your ballot. Drop it off. Drop it off. Drop it off. You can't know for sure. We've seen mailmen getting arrested for just dumping ballots in the forest. We've seen ballot drop boxes burned up. If you really want your vote to count, and you want to make sure that it counts, you'll take your ballot in your hand, you will walk it down to the place where somebody will take it from you, and you might even want to watch to make sure that they actually put it in the right spot, because it is too important to just rely on the Postal Service. This is right. I got to read this. So this is it's from Nicaragua over at Red State. He said, he's back. Trump's hysterically funny response to Mark Cuban insulting the women around him. Now, there's times when you can see, a statement, then it's like, okay, so that was written by somebody. When Trump writes his own stuff, which is usually almost every time, I'm not going to do a Trump voice. I can't do a Trump voice, but I wish I could, because it would be perfect to read this tweet about him. Mark Cuban, a really dumb guy, love it already, who thinks he's hot stuff, but he's absolutely nothing, is now out there saying that I don't surround myself with strong women. Actually, he is very wrong. I surround myself with the strongest of women, with the understanding that all women are great, whether strong or not strong. This guy is such a fool. He's constantly on television being critical, and only for the reason that I tuned him out completely while president because he called incessantly. I told him very pointedly, look, Mark, I got a lot of things to do. I just can't be taking so many pointless calls from you. In any event, that affected him greatly because he's a very insecure guy and a major loser. Always has been and always will be. Nobody likes him. Nobody respects him. And he's unattractive both inside and out. He should go back to talk about the person he was forced to support because I didn't want it, lying Kamala Harris. And he's got no club head speed. He's ripping on his golf game. Man, that's brutal. I may, back to Trump, I may in fact be surrounded by the strongest women in the world, including heads of countries, who make Mark look like a baby. All strong women, and women in general, should be very angry about this weak man's statement. That might be the most Trumpish tweet that even Donald Trump himself has ever posted. That was vintage Trump. It's good to see him back because that style Trump. I know everybody's like, oh, he needs to be more, more whatever. I disagree. I just want Trump to be Trump. When Trump is Trump, he's so much more effective than when he's trying to be somebody else. Just the news. This is Casey Harper. She's actually from Center Square. Fate of the House, Senate remains too close to call ahead of Election Day. I'm not going to read it. I'll just tell you, folks, we need it. We need the House. We need the Senate. We need the presidency. We need all three. Anything short of that will be very bad for the United States of America. Mike LaChance over at the Gateway Pundit says news outlet goes to Tim Walz's hometown in Minnesota, and everyone they talk to is voting for Trump. That would be just the icing on the cake. If on top of winning the election, if he's able to win Minnesota as well, because that would be amazing. Last but not least, my good friend Todd Starnes. Trump, these people want to put religion out of business. I'm going to read part of this one. You know what? No, I'm not. I'm going to save this one because it's a video. I'm going to let Trump do the talking, but I'm not going to do that tomorrow because I do want to focus more on this. And again, I am exhausted. Let's go to Tucker Carlson. Last piece of information. Tucker Carlson talking about what he learned, what he realized as far as why DC is the way that it is. Watch.
Why are they so mad about a guy who says stuff like we should have a border? And then I realized that they hated Trump because Trump asked questions they couldn't answer. Like, why are we doing it this way? And I remember thinking and saying, well, I don't know, why don't you just answer his question? If not having a border is such a good idea, if it's so important to have a tight labor market, or if you think tariffs are so terrible, why don't you just explain why? Why are you yelling at the guy? No matter what he said, he would get up and say, I think we should have tariffs. And they would say, racist! And I would think to myself, what do tariffs have to do with race? I was completely confused. And then over time, within about a year, I realized people hated Trump because they were guilty of crimes. And those people were my neighbors and coworkers. My mind exploded. I mean, ultimately, I had to leave the city where I spent my entire life. Because thanks to Donald Trump, I saw what it really was, which was a scam.
Very similar to Donald Trump, Tucker Carlson ages very well for me. I'll admit, this is a confession, that I wasn't a fan before. I'm talking about like way before he had his show, before Bill O'Reilly left, when he was doing his thing, filling in, doing occasional stuff here or there with Fox News. I thought he was okay. And then he got his show, and at first it bugged me because I was so used to Bill O'Reilly. Didn't like Bill O'Reilly, but I was still used to him. But he grew on me, and he grew on me, and he grew on me, and he grew on me. And then it got to the point to where I really, truly, legitimately liked the guy. Then Fox News fired him, and it's like, oh, great. I was finally starting to like him a lot, and now you guys fire him. Well, he is now, in my humble opinion, the most powerful individual journalist in the world. I truly think that. I think he's more powerful even than Joe Rogan. I think he's definitely more powerful than Jake Tapper or Jesse Waters or any of the guys on corporate media. I think that when I say powerful, what I'm referring to is people trust him more so than others. And they trust Joe Rogan too. Don't get me wrong, but Joe Rogan, so I shouldn't say more powerful. They're different, okay? Tucker Carlson appeals to one batch of people. Joe Rogan appeals to another batch of people. Between the two, if they ever got together, forget about it. And again, add in more of those independent journalists like Megyn Kelly, like Glenn Beck, and you have the makings of what I believe to be the next iteration of mass media, bigger than what corporate media is today. I truly hope that is the case. We will see. Apologies for cutting today's show short. I am exhausted. So, Lord willing, I will be back very soon with another episode. But in the meantime, you all stay strong, stay safe, and God bless.
In a world of uncertainty, be prepared with Silver Prepper Bars, your ultimate hedge against political instability and economic turmoil. Introducing the Silver Prepper Bar, crafted from 0.999 pure silver and proudly made in the USA. This tangible, divisible asset can come in handy even in the toughest of times. Portable, perforated, and easily tradable, the Silver Prepper Bar is your lifeline in times of crisis. When facing inflation, currency devaluation, and financial meltdown, Silver Prepper Bars provide peace of mind. Don't wait for disaster to strike. Secure your future today with the exclusive Silver Prepper Bar, the only silver bar on the market divisible into 3 different size pieces for maximum utility, all while fitting in your wallet. The smart choice for savvy investors and preppers alike. With Silver Prepper Bars, you're ready for whatever tomorrow brings. Hi folks, I'm here today to introduce you to the Prepper Bar from PrepperBar.com, the most unique precious metals product we have seen in a long time. These 62-gram bars are perforated and easily broken down into your choice of 3 different sizes to fit a multitude of needs. Whether it be from asset protection from inflation, economic turmoil, or its unique utility for barter and trade, the Prepper Bar makes a perfect gift for all the precious metal lovers out there. Exclusively made here in the USA and selling out fast. Available in both gold and silver, these slim Prepper Bars fit neatly in your wallet, and their utility enables use in any situation. As gold and silver prices continue to surge, and top economists predict upcoming shortages, now is the time to secure your precious metals in the form of Prepper Bars. Go to PrepperBar.com now and place your order before supply runs out and prices go up. All payment methods accepted. Order your Silver Prepper Bars now at PrepperBar.com. Silver Prepper Bars, ready